Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk, a couple of guys just talking about some wrestling and having some fun. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Tom Lavelle. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast, Wrestling Perspective. Tom, how we doing?
Doing good. Excited to talk about maybe the most exciting time in professional wrestling history.
That is true. Too many possibilities and too little time. Love it. All right. Well, in case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can have us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe so, we can get the big guys on the show. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast, Wrestling Perspective. Let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
Earlier this week, Cody Rhodes was released by AEW. He was an executive.
He wasn't released. He left.
He left.
He wasn't released. They have been in the contract. He's been a free agent for months.
Yeah.
So he was in contract negotiations with them for a long time, and they just could not come to terms, and he decided to leave.
Yeah. Well,
supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. Honest, I don't know, man. Brandy's got to be such an anchor on him. Like, just way.
Who's a bigger anchor, Patrick Mahomes' fiance, or Brandy Rhodes to Cody?
I would say, Jackson Mahomes or Brandy Rhodes. It's close. Brandy just. Like, dude, she's got appeal visually. Yes, she's good looking, right? But sucks on the stick. Just doesn't know her character, right? Like, she went from being
almost a little arrogant.
Yeah.
Like she thinks she's really good, but it's, I don't know. I just seen her on a couple.
She's Cody Rhodes' favorite women's wrestler, but she just, I don't think she's like well,
whatever. I'm curious what Cody's gonna do. I care less about Brandy Rhodes.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, I think that Brandy is sometimes gets in the way of him doing things. But I think Cody, he was an EVP of AEW. I'm sure he's getting fucking taken care of. I don't know what more he could get, give him a bump, but I don't know. And also how many great moments has AEW had because of Cody Rhodes? Right?
A lot.
Dude,
what about is there AEW without Cody Rhodes?
No. Dude, match of the year, Double or Nothing match of the year, right? Right with AEW's legit first real pay-per-view was Double or Nothing and it had match of the year on it. Besides Jon Moxley debuting, the biggest moment from that pay-per-view was the Cody Rhodes versus Dustin match, and that was match of the year. Ended up being the Pro Wrestling or Wrestling Illustrated match of the year, one of them, PWI match of the year, and it was
awesome match,
incredible, absolutely incredible. Then the promo he had leading up to his match against Jericho for the AEW championship, and if he loses, he'll never challenge for the title again, right? So that match that promo, still people talk about it. It was, dude, I think that was promo of the year because it was so fucking good.
He's had a ton of great matches. When he won the TNT title, when he lost it to
Darby.
No.
Oh, Brody Lee.
Brody Lee, when he lost
Yeah.
it to Brody Lee, that was awesome. When
Yeah.
he
The
lost to Darby,
dog collar match against
dog
Brody
collar
Lee.
match against Brody,
Dude,
the going through the table lit on fire and burning his whole back up.
Yo,
Fucking the RKO off the diamond cutter off the top of the ladder a couple weeks ago from Sammy Guevara.
dude, not even
there's
to
just
mention
he does
remember,
everything.
Well, not to mention too, remember his program with MJF and leading up to that and what he had to go through with remember him getting whipped with the belt, the
Whipped
10
with
lashes.
the belt.
That was fucking dude, I remember watching that and being emotional, being Jesus Christ. And then
he does the moonsault at the top of the cage
match against Wardlow. Match against Wardlow. And then he puts fucking MJF over. He puts him fucking over like he's supposed to do because MJF's their biggest heel. Right? Dude, I don't know. He does what's best for business, and he's fucking good. And
not only that,
and he builds the brand. He builds the brand with the show, with the Go Big show. He builds the brand.
This is my thing too. Then I see, I guess Kenny Omega's got an interview out, and they're talking about him, and he says, that's talking about Cody. He says that's sort of where the Bucks and I differed from Cody. We never want to go to war with Vince and WWE. We just wanted to give people an option and get us a platform for our brand of storytelling and our style of wrestling. That's what Kenny Omega said. And I'm like, fuck you, Kenny Omega. You know what? Because it's not personal to you. It's personal to Cody. Cody's dad, his whole family history with WWE, Goldust, being put as Stardust, not being put over, always having the talent and the ability and never being believed in. He leaves. He builds this fucking brand. He gets everyone in there. He starts this thing from the bottom and gets it to the top. And he's the one doing, and this was part of his promo the other way. He says, "Oh, Punk's out here talking about it. I'm the one that actually fucking did it." And he did fucking do it. And everyone still hates him. Whatever. I don't get it, but he's a fucking man. I hope he comes to WWE, and I pray they finally give him the push to do whatever the fuck he wants, to go over whoever he wants to go against. I wanted to start a faction. I've been texting you the other day too. I would love it if he could start a faction. I'm a big American Alpha fan. I think Chad Gable, me and you both love Chad Gable. I'm a big fan of Otis. And I would love if he threw Charlotte in that faction with him too. And it was like those four together, and maybe even another, maybe they get someone else, but those four, right there to be a little bit of their stable.
So my thought is this. I think this is legit. Cody Rhodes is the real chip is that. So you and me, we're from the Northeast, right? So I watched Nitro, right? But I WWF, WWE was always bigger for us just because that's our territory, right?
Yeah.
He legit watched every fucking Nitro there was. He lived and breathed WCW, right? His dad was, let's say, because it was a war, if Vince McMahon's Ulysses S. Grant, right? Fucking his dad was Robert E. Lee. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Stonewall Jackson, right? But he was
whatever.
He was one of the biggest generals there, right? And he fought to the very end against Vince and lost. And his son had to watch the whole thing. His son had to watch him go up and kiss the boot of the conquering hero of WWE, right? And his dad had to be a lick spittle up there, and he had to watch his dad go from being the idol that was fucking revered and everyone's biggest hero down south.
Well, he was doing that way before that. Because they were NWA.
But I'm saying he's playing that in his mind, right? He had to watch his dad go through that. Then when he went up there, he got the same treatment because
not only that, he's watching his brother dressing up with these thongs and all this crazy shit and doing all these coming out as baby New Year and
and just all the awful you know what I'm saying? So he has to feel disrespected, and
but I think it's before the WCW WWF Monday Night Wars with Cody, because when they brought in Dustin and they put him in the polka dots and all this other stuff and made him,
Oh, when they brought in Dusty and put him in the polka dots and put him with and dude, they had the
that was years before the money, and that was when
remember
he was supposed to be this big champion,
Well, remember also Vince McMahon, the $1 Million Man, is based off of Vince McMahon supposedly, and then his manservant was Virgil, right?
Yeah.
And that's Dusty Rhodes' real name is Virgil,
Right.
So that's why you know what I mean? Like they were ribbing Dusty from they've always been sticking it to him. You know what I mean? So
and Dave's got a problem with Triple H. Like, well, this is all hearsay, you know what I mean? But just from an outsider looking in, he's got all this issues, it seems, with Triple H smashing a throne. The NXT, who was down there training all the wrestlers in NXT? Dusty. And all the wrestlers like Enzo and all these other guys talk about they all put over Dusty. Everybody
put over Dusty. Everybody. I mean, like, if that's not true and just hearsay, it's great fucking storytelling that they should be
using this.
Whole thing. If he came back and said that if he come back and cut a promo of like there was a
fuck the promo. I want him to come back, right? Do his thing. Give him the first hour of Raw, a sit down interview, talk about the whole thing from beginning to end. Have someone sit there with him and say, this is what happened with your dad. This is what happened. And then you went to, then you came in. Then then there was the Monday Night Wars. Then your brother came in. Then there was Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
Then your dad had to come back here, and now he's put on this. And then talk about the humiliation with that. Talk about how they had to go and work for the man that beat them, and be embarrassed. And now he was a Stardust character. Then he went out on his own. Like, talk about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And let's get and why not give him an hour? I would watch that. I'd be like, this is great. And then talk about why you left. Why are you back?
Yeah.
Why are you here? I want the whole thing.
Yeah. And him saying, fuck you, I'm fucking leaving. And then going out and legit starting the revolution. Cody Rhodes started the revolution, right?
Yeah.
The Young Bucks are there. Yeah, Omega was there. And they were doing it, but they wouldn't have made it without Cody Rhodes. They wouldn't have.
Well, they're not not that they're not into it. Like Omega said, at least in Omega's words, I don't know if he speaks to the Young Bucks. They're just looking for a platform to display their talent.
Yeah.
Cody's going to war.
Yeah.
Cody was going to war. And I think this is a move in his war that and I think it's going to be huge payoff for him.
Dude,
I mean, I don't see how he can lose, to be honest.
Cody built the fucking the forbidden door. Cody fucking built the door. And he's the one that he's the one that did this, dude. Think about it. When he leaves WWE and he's confirmed that he left a 6-figure or 7-figure contract, right? And he could have worked there forever, but he would have been a fucking because of his dad. He said he could have worked.
Be Dolph Ziggler.
He'd just be a job. He just he would never get the recognition he deserved as a true top talent, which is what he fucking is. He really fucking
is.
Talent.
I agree.
He is such.
We are Cody marks here.
Oh, dude, the fucking biggest marks for Cody, but it's true.
Cody will do anything,
yeah,
and that's why I love him. He'll do anything. He's doing moonsaults off the top of the cage. He's going through burning freaking tables and getting lit on fire. Dog collar matches.
Yeah.
The diamond cutter from the top of the whatever it takes, the whipping, the storytelling. He's talking to the crowd after every match. Like, he was the guy that no one outworked, and he was doing all the stuff. And they're acting like it's almost like AEW is not even giving him any respect.
Yeah.
It's man,
such bullshit.
It's
bullshit.
He's never gotten the respect I don't think that he deserves.
No.
And we were saying it too. We were saying it years ago. I like Cody Rhodes. He's doing his thing. When Daniel Bryan, when the Yes Movement was going on, and maybe that's it too. He's sitting there and he's like, now all these guys are coming in. I created this, and now you're gonna bring, now Punk's coming in, and that's great for AEW. Oh, Daniel Bryanson's coming. Bryan Danielson's coming. Great, and now all these guys,
Bobby,
Kyle, whatever.
Keith, he's like, I built this fucking thing, and now I'm
gonna have to take a back seat.
Yeah, to all these guys that didn't have the courage to do what he did.
Yeah.
Could you?
Now they're coming over when the grass is greener.
Oh, it's so great, but it's green.
Oh, now the fruit's ripe.
Yeah, because Cody also fucking helped carry them through a fucking pandemic. Right, their first a year into the fucking company, he helped carry them through. Right, dude.
Yeah.
Like, could you also imagine this, right? Imagine there's no pandemic. They're the hottest fucking wrestling company because the pandemic legit
They're
hit.
still the hottest.
Well, like the pandemic legit hit right after Revolution, which has there been a better pay-per-view than Revolution? Like Revolution 2020.
Oh man, I haven't seen one in a long time.
Since then, there hasn't.
I haven't seen a pay-per-view like that in a long time.
It was so
maybe ever
good, so
but,
fucking good.
I mean, the Royal Rumble where Edge came back and McIntyre won.
That was good.
That was a really good Royal Rumble, and that's right when it got cut out for them too. Like WWE's Disney, they're never gonna go. They're never like unless they decide to sell. Yeah. But like
I agree. They're not going anywhere.
Never-ending story.
I agree. But
if Cody goes there, does his thing.
Dude, imagine but think about this. They had Revolution, right? That was supposed to happen in 2020. Then the next 2 weeks later, they're gonna have Blood and Guts in Jersey, which would have sold out and been killer. Then the following week, the next week, they were going to have Matt Hardy and Brody Lee debut in Brody Lee's hometown in New York, right? Then they were going to have Blood and Guts, right? They were just setting it up to fucking bam, 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 and just keep the heat going.
I feel terrible for FTR. They didn't get the crowd pop when they came in.
My God.
That would have been incredible.
Rusev too, or Miro.
Miro. Yeah, what's going on with him now? He's back burner now too. All these guys are going to be
dude. They have 3 hours of TV a week. They have 3 hours of TV a week, right? Yeah. WWE, looking at it, has what, 6?
A million, way too many.
Right, but that's the thing. It's I know they have the YouTube shows and stuff, but they only have 3 hours of TV. Dude, did you watch the Jay White Trent match on Rampage? Fucking really good. But
no.
Either way. But let's keep it on Cody. So
I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. I'm really excited.
Dude.
And since the Monday Night Wars, this is the best time in wrestling right now. It's the most what's gonna happen? Dude, it's because there's a lot of other companies too. It's not just AEW at this point. Cody could go somewhere else too. He could go to NWA. He could go to Impact. He could just
hop around like he did before.
Yeah.
Right? He could go back to just traveling. I mean, I think it'd be tougher now that he has a kid. But
do you think he would say to WWE, yo, I'm wrestling at Mania and that's one match. I'll wrestle it, but I got to win.
One thing I've heard him say, and he's like, wrestling needs more smart people. And I think he's fucking smart. And I think he knows the business. And I think now that he's built up, he said it, he went from undesirable to unfucking deniable. And he is unfucking deniably one of the hottest wrestlers in the world. Right? He is over. He's a fucking talent. He's a fucking star. He can do whatever you want him to. He's a legit heel. He's a face. He's a promo. He's in ring. He can do movie, whatever. Right? So he can go to WWE because if he goes, that fucking pop, the leader of WWE wants the leader of the revolution. You know what I'm saying? He's the fucking, he's the face and the leader of the revolution.
How are they going to screw it up?
They make him job to everybody.
They'll be like, oh, next week Cody Rhodes will be here. You know what I mean? They'll announce it instead of letting it be a surprise. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I don't know.
I'll tell you this.
SmackDown is in Hershey this week on Friday, and I'm like, oh man, I almost want to go out there. But
sweetest place on earth.
But if he's going to debut, it's going to be on SmackDown.
I agree
because that's the one they're pushing.
Brand. That's the bigger brand. I agree. I think it I honestly didn't really watch SmackDown, but I was keeping an eye on it because Cody might have jumped on last week, and I wonder.
Well, no, last week was a recording.
Oh, well, fuck.
We knew that Sami Zayn was gonna win. Yeah, sorry. No. I knew that.
Well, then
because they were already going to Saudi Arabia, they had to be on the plane.
But what about like this Friday though? I wonder if it's gonna add. I wonder if WWE sees as eyes added to the.
Guaranteed, their ratings were up. I never watched a Saudi Arabia event before, and I watched because I was like, "What's going to happen?"
Yeah, I guarantee it too. So yeah, I would love
Ratings will probably be up tomorrow. It's WrestleMania season. Ratings will be up tomorrow and Friday.
I wonder if there's like also what if they start
who would they bring him back?
What if they start showing where's Cody signs in the fucking arena? If they showed like Cody Rhodes come here or something like that, people holding those signs in the arena.
Where would you want him to come out?
I'd want it.
Do you wait till Mania? Does he come out at Mania and debut?
Because I want him to be with Roman. I want him to be at the top. He's a top guy. I don't want him to come in and go with AJ, right? Even though it'd be good. Eventually he can do all that. I don't want him to come in and go with Owens or Nakamura or whatever. I don't want to come and go with I want
you want it's Lesnar Reigns.
Yeah.
Final match. They're going at it. Reigns wins. He wins the belt. He's in there. He's on the mat. He's in there celebrating. Next thing, no, you don't hear anything. You just see Cody come in from the crowd and attack him.
Or you hear wrestling has more than one royal family, and then you just fucking
Well, it kind of ties in like it was it Money in the Bank? No. I forget what pay-per-view it was. I don't think it was Money in the Bank. It might have been Money in the Bank. Cena came out. I think it was Money in the Bank. Yeah. Like Reigns wins. Yeah. Cena comes out. Huge pop.
Massive.
SummerSlam.
Massive.
Reigns wins. Lesnar comes out. Huge pop. Yeah. This past week, he's fighting and Goldberg comes out, a couple weeks ago.
True.
Decent pop.
even like Yeah. But even the Lashley Lesnar match, they protected both of them with that finish and made it and just like the storyline got so much juice. That story.
Do you have Cody come out and interfere in the match?
Maybe. No. I want him to come out and cut a fucking promo.
The promo will come afterwards.
Just come out and be like, just come out like, what if Reigns is standing there with both belts and Cody just comes in from behind and hits him with a crossroads?
Well, I could see
covered up, comes in covered up in a mask and a hood, comes in, grabs him from behind, and everyone's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" Hits him with a crossroads, pops up, mask off, bow, Cody Rhodes.
Well, you could have him saying, maybe the Usos win, maybe Roman wins, and he beats Lesnar. And they're celebrating in the ring. We're the greatest family in the history of wrestling. We're this, we're that. You know what I mean? And he's saying we're the number one family of all time. And then you hear there's more than one royal family in wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because then you have the families now can go against it. And that's where I think he gets Flair. He gets Charlotte.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Is that just another legacy? Right? Like, remember, he was in Legacy with Ted DiBiase Jr. and Randy
I'm just saying, then they could have the whole thing with the families kind of going back and forth because there's a ton of wrestlers that were their parents and that because then you could still bring in The Rock eventually.
Yeah.
And then you have and then you have also Triple H and McMahon, like Triple H and Cody. You could see if Triple H has another match ever, it should be against Cody, and you can seriously have.
I think that's real heat. And dude, remember, Double or Nothing. He fucking broke the throne with the sledgehammer, right? Like that's
what I'm saying to Omega. Moment. They're like passing it off like
Cody moment.
It was never like that for us. It was never about that for us, and it's like. Yeah, it was, dude. That's a lie. First of all, that it wasn't. You were a part of the war, and you guys saw what was happening,
and you troll WWE. You love
all the time. Yeah, and it. You can say that it's not, but it is. But maybe he brings Omega with him or something. Maybe he brings someone else with him.
Maybe he brings
eventually.
Dustin with him, and then they can start because I would love it too. Like turning Game of Thrones. Now they're all houses. House of Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
House of Rhodes. Here we go. House Rhodes of the North or whatever, the South. And then you'd have House Flair of the Carolinas, whatever. But yeah, no.
You have Charlotte, with them. Then you have the Usos, Roman and The Rock. You have Triple H, Stephanie, Shane, Vince, that whole, that they're the Lannisters. You know what I mean? They're the ones.
They're the fucking Targaryens. You kidding
me? The Targaryens, whatever.
The Targaryens, yeah.
But then
and Owyhees are the
who else?
you know,
I mean,
they're the
there's
Iron
a
Islanders.
chick from Snooka's daughter as
Yeah,
well. Oh, the
Davina.
Hearts. The Hearts.
They're the Starks. The
Yeah.
Hearts are the Starks.
The Hearts are the Starks.
Then McMahons are the Targaryens. Then,
But you only have Natty. Like, who else? Like,
well, I mean, they had TJ, they had Brett. They had, like, I'm just saying, like, Bret Hart is fucking Ned Stark.
they're all gone.
Like,
Bret Hart is Ned Stark.
Bret Hart is fucking Ned Stark. Bret Hart is fucking Ned Stark. That is fucking true. But then you have the Anna.
I don't know. They might be the wall. They might be the.
No,
Bret Hart might be on. He's on the wall.
I don't know about that. I think that's the Indies. The Indies is the wall. But all right, so we're coming to the top time. Went a little over, but this is the first ever episode of Wrestling Perspective. Hopefully there'll be more, and we'll have more guests and talk about more things. Really like what we talked about, man. And Cody Rhodes, just let me know when you want to be a guest on the show. We can talk sports entertainment, but also we can talk high school or American wrestling as well, which we know you're a big fan of also. So yeah, shout out Cody. But either way, Tom, before we get out of here, anything you want to say to the listeners?
Keep your eyes peeled. We'll see when Cody comes around, and hopefully it's part of the revolution and the change of how the wrestling psychology is, particularly in WWE, because it is stale. It's been stale. So like, hopefully this can be something to add more fuel to this already burning revolution that's hot as hell as it is right now. But this is just, there's threw gas on the fire. So we'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Nice. So I agree. Honestly, wrestling is legit. I mean, I know the Monday Night Wars were big, but I think there's more possibilities now just because of the access we have. I think there's more. I think as soon as the Austin arrives, I think, and it could be Cody Rhodes, who knows, but as soon as the Austin arrives of this era, watch the fuck out, because it's going to, like, as soon as they figure out what the next step is, then watch the fuck out, because it's going to get really fucking good and it's going to be must-see TV. So, all right. Well, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast, Wrestling Perspective. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Tom Lavelle. You can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and you can join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com, and please like and subscribe so you know that Cody Rhodes can come on the show. All right, this is the Working Perspectives Podcast, Wrestling Perspective. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you. Bye.